Also, it's really interesting that you brought up that FAQ example. You are literally the second person to say that to me in the last week and a half. And I had on these, they were old school SEOs on my show, and they had like rebranded themselves as kind of like online reputation experts.
Okay.
They made an FAQ tool where so they were telling me about this on the podcast, and I got some heat from the comments because I was grilling them on this. They're like, yeah, we made this FAQ tool, and it improves organic rankings, or it improves the traffic you get from organic search. And what it does is it actually makes every FAQ question as its own page. And I'm like, wait. Isn't that going to bloat the site? That's like that. And they're like, yeah, actually it's its own subfolder. And I'm like, are you telling me that there's a new subfolder for every question off the root domain? Isn't that going to bloat it? And what it really is it's you have like a product page, and then off the product page, all the different questions that people might have, those are their own subfolders, and then the slug after the subfolder is the answer. And those pages, they're not very long. I don't know if I would categorize them as thin content, because it is useful. It's like it is useful. And anyway, so then they talk to me about FAQ Schema, and I fall into the same camp as you with Schema. I make a lot of episodes on it, but yeah, so they were sending me screenshots afterwards about the results that this gets, and you were the second person to say, like, take your FAQ questions and put them on separate pages. Even if it would be seen as thin, the fact is these are useful pages.
So absolutely. And the thing about thin content is, if you actually go read the Google SEO policy spam guide, Google's very clear on its penalties, right? And thin content is only a penalty when it's with affiliate content. Otherwise, there's no such thing as there's no word count minimum. And so if there's no word count minimum and there's no thin content, then there can't really be a content quality standard, right? You can put up a table or a spreadsheet or a video with no content. Google doesn't watch the video. It still doesn't watch the video. So you can put up any content you want. And FAQs with 100 words or 10 words are perfectly enough. I mean, one of my favorites is like, how do you spell VPN? Right, and that's for a client of mine out of California, and we get a ton of traffic for people looking for VPN. Right, and it makes no sense, because if you've typed it in, you've spelled it right. Well done, right? But we get a ton of traffic from that. And there was another client in cybersecurity. The board of directors, they were still in stealth mode, so the board of directors was like, had eyes on our SEO strategy, and they were like, no, we're not putting up a glossary. I'm like, we've got to put up a glossary, and we went for months. And eventually they let us put up a glossary. Now they have 9 glossaries, right? And what we found is, not only did we get a ton of topical authority, but we actually started getting leads. And 25% of their traffic comes from the glossary. And they're so cutting edge that they don't realize they're cutting edge. They were bringing AI into cybersecurity a long time ago. And there were people that were, getting new job titles, right? So things were moving from CISO to BISO, and people were getting these job titles not knowing what they meant, and they were actually Googling them. And it was something we learned from working in tech, where we did FAQs and we built Visio stencils. And what we would do is we'd draw up a network diagram and insert all of our points of technology, and then we would create icons for the sysadmins to drop us into their own Visio stencils, because that's how they would map out data centers and network diagrams. And it was a great way for them to visualize where we sit on the network and how much intelligence we could gather from all of their different applications that they were load balancing, for example. And what we found out is that a lot of people, if they're building a slide, they're doing a presentation to the board of directors, they want to use terminologies that everyone else understood. And so it's a great way to create a path of discovery for someone who would never otherwise Google something they didn't know about, to suddenly come into the company and discover it through the glossary.
Well,